up at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Isolated evening storms, otherwise partly cloudy and a low in the low 60s. Sunshine warmer and more humid tomorrow, high in the low 80s. With more showers and storms around Thursday night and Friday, high again in the low 80s. 90s ahead this weekend. It's 71 right now.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
The Joint Finance Committee was leaked that they intend to cut $87 million from the UW system budget. And so we put this out on our socials last night, and today the Joint Finance Committee decided to pull that from the agenda. Because apparently, from what I'm told, Republican legislators got a lot of calls. When the truth is disseminated and people react, results can happen.
The Todd Albaugh Show, weekdays 2 to 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Matt Nair on air.
From articles that I have seen, if you are a bagel purist, you should not toast your bagel. I think nothing's better than a toasted bagel and a schmear.
Folks, can we have a moment of honesty? Do you really like bagels, or do you like the schmear that is transported by them? Get rid of the stigma. If I walk into this room eating cream cheese out of a tub with a spoon.
Why is that wrong?
Matt Nair on air, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Rational Revolution with Mark Becker.
We'll talk with former Attorney General J.B. Van Hollen about his bipartisan effort with the Democracy Defense Project.
Rational Revolution. Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
And now, a guy who still likes to build a fort, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome to Nite. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. It's another rainy day, at least in northeast Wisconsin. I hope it's nicer where you are, but this is probably the 5th or 6th day of the last 10 I've been rained on walking to the studio from the parking garage. And you know what? It's not so bad. A little rain never hurt anybody, but it would be nice to see some sunshine. Welcome to Nite. We have a great show tonight, folks. David Patterson, the film producer and writer of The Bridge to Terabithia, will be here tonight. His mother, Catherine Patterson, wrote the book, the award-winning, Newbery-winning book, The Bridge to Terabithia, which is an outstanding work of art. We'll talk to David about what he's up to and what films he's working on. He is one of the busiest guys I know, and I'm very excited to have him back on the show. And we have to, Conroy, we get some bad news. Our DeLorean Walls was supposed to be here in hour number 2, and he had a family situation. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, I hope everything's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get DeLorean rescheduled. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and DeLorean was going to come on to talk about his organization, Brothers Helping Brothers. He was on Mino and the Mayor last week, and he's a very interesting guy. So we will book DeLorean back, but more importantly, we hope everything is okay with whatever family situation arose today. And we'll have a secret surprise guest who's going to talk about the movie Ballerina in hour number 2. You haven't seen Ballerina, have you?
I have not.
Okay. Any desire?
My go-to movie that I need to go to right now is How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
So I won't be seeing any other movies before that one.
All right, fair enough. I'll probably see that at some point. I'm excited, but that's our show for tonight. David Patterson is up at 6:35, and our secret guest who will give us a review at 7:35 of the movie Ballerina. I still haven't seen it. And you know what? The reason I wanted to talk about it is because I don't think I'm not going to rush to see that movie. I'm certainly not going to go see it in the theaters. I am curious. And I hear Anna de Armas is great, but I also have heard it's like the least exciting or entertaining of the John Wick films. So I'm not really in any hurry. Why does downtown Green Bay smell like fish, Conrad?
Because we're right by the water there.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That is so pungent that the water that's 100 yards away is permeating the whole, everything downtown smells like fish?
Remember in those quizzes I make, remember what they used to call the city?
I don't.
The city of stinkers.
And that's
Or the bay of stinkers.
regarding fish? That's what they're talking about, or just?
Well, it was the green algae. That's why they named it Green Bay originally.
It's a pungent, objectionable smell.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's like anytime rain happens, it's gonna smell a little bit like fish.
I guess so. I don't understand that. This is a question probably for Brittany Merlot.
Well, I think it's because the water that is going up to the sky and coming down on us is a little bit of fish scented.
I really want to believe what you're saying, but I'm not
I
sure
don't know what
yet.
I'm saying. I gotta say, so today, another instance happened to me.
Oh, what now?
Again,
More old women that don't like you?
actually, it
What is
was
the
a
deal?
guy. It was a guy probably 30-ish.
Oh, a younger guy, too.
I hold the door open for a guy, and he goes through the other door.
He didn't even want your charity.
I'm like, what?
God, what are you doing wrong?
I don't
What's
know.
your door holding technique?
Well, I open it, I hold it,
Do you
and
like-
I'm like waiting for him.
Do you
to,
like head fake that you're going to close it on him or something and freak him out?
No, but I was like, okay, I must be doing something wrong. It must be like my attire, my face, maybe.
Were you wearing a tube top again?
No,
Okay.
that's only for Saturdays.
See, here's what I would do. Next time you do this, you got to secretly record it so we can play it because I would love to know.
Well, the radio can't, see it.
Well, we could put it on the stream. You're kind of a big guy. I mean, but I don't think, and I mean this in a good way, I don't think you probably could look intimidating, but you don't. You have a friendly face. You're jovial, but you are kind of stacked, man. You're maybe people are a little intimidated.
Well, I was flexing the whole time
Well, there you go.
to assert dominance.
You're doing the old Dwight Schrute, which way, or the Tommy Boy, which way is the beach? Boy, that's a run. That's like a Joe DiMaggio 56 game hitting streak with you holding doors open for people.
If something happens tomorrow, there's got to be something wrong.
Something's wrong. And that was all in Green Bay. It's just a demographic. I would have said it's a demographic, but 30, that's close to your age, and that's
Yeah, it was at the gym, so I was like, I thought,
wow, man, that's crazy. I had a guy follow me around the gym the other night. I went Monday night after the show, and he kept trying to work in with me, but I don't do sets. I do like this resistance thing where you put as much weight as you can, and then you let it, like if you're doing curls, you bring it up, and then you let it down really slowly while you count to 25. Then up.
Well, I've done that, but in sets.
This is not a set. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. You go down for 25 seconds as slow as you can, up for 25 seconds as slow as you can, and back down. So it's like a minute and a half for that machine. And it's fantastic. You're in and out of there. I'm in and out in 30 minutes. But this guy said, work in with you? No, I do. I don't really do that, but if you need a spotter, let me know. 5 minutes later, work in with you? No. First of all, this is like a Nautilus machine, and there's another one just like it right there.
You know what? This guy that was his first day at the gym. All right? And he just wanted to know what to do.
Maybe
he went to the buffest guy he saw at the gym.
Well, at that hour, I might be. There's only like 4 people in there. I'm rarely the buffest guy, but I'll take it. That's funny. I got to write that down. So here's the thing. You're a big Aaron Rodgers fan, and I heard this in the weigh-in. I did not catch this when it first came out.
I was an Aaron Rodgers fan, and he was in the Packers.
When he was here. Correct.
Now it's like, I don't really care what he does.
He was on Joe Rogan like 3 weeks ago, and he talked about if you get the vaccine, you get nanobots in your body that help the government track you. Like, when did this happen with this guy?
I've actually heard that before. Aaron Rodgers said that.
I'm sure it's a theory that's out there that he just regurgitated. But even Rogan went, "Whoa, dude!" Like that's
when you know there's a problem. When Rogan said that.
He's not above spewing a conspiracy theory, but that one was, God. He had a whole bunch of stuff too. I read about it on Pro Football Talk. Those guys don't like each other, Mike Florio and Aaron Rodgers. So it's fun. It's fun to read. But he thought it was like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't get it. And who's he playing for? Pittsburgh?
Yeah, he's playing for Pittsburgh now.
He even supposedly bought in a little bit to the Sandy Hook thing, and that's when I was really like, you can spout whatever you want about vaccines. I don't think it's right to say stuff that's irresponsible, but the Sandy Hook stuff, like, even if you really thought that, don't make parents listen to that or people with kids have to. It's just horrible.
He got married.
I heard that. Apparently he signed his contract with Pittsburgh with
Yeah,
No,
he had his ring on.
his hand was right in the shot. Yeah, right.
And then they asked him in the presser. He said, "Yeah, I got married."
Who do you get married to?
He's probably keeping a secret because the last time he had a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, he said it. The guy is definitely interesting. I'll give him that. He's fun to read about. I read about this over the weekend too. They had the No Kings March, and then there were the military parade on Trump's birthday, and they played "Fortunate Son" at this military parade. And it reminded me of in the 80s in Marinette, they did this thing called Celebrate. It was the 100-year anniversary, or it might have been a couple years after. And during the fireworks display, they played Born in the USA. I don't think people listen to the lyrics of songs. Those are kind of protest songs. And both of them are kind of like, why do poor people only go fight in wars? That's the gist of the songs. And I don't understand. And then there was a theory that maybe they played it because it was in, defiance of the president or something like that. But Born in the USA, you hear that all the time too. I don't think people have ever really listened to the lyrics. There are plenty of things you can play if you want to celebrate America without any, metaphors or a message about how you're anti-war. I don't understand. Those two songs, though, get played a lot. The other thing I saw today, Con, was I was talking to this older guy at the store. He knew my folks, and he kind of pulled me aside. We were talking. He had, I swear to God, this nose hair was like an inch and a half long coming out of his nose.
Were you staring at the whole
I
time?
couldn't not stare. It was the only one. And I get it. He's a well-groomed guy. He takes care of himself. He's probably in his 80s, but I think it's the eyesight. I think they just can't see. Because that thing, man, it was terrible. And I wanted to tell him. I wasn't going to reach up and pluck it out myself or do one of those look over there and then yank it out. But I felt bad for the guy. Because if he goes back to the old folks' home and he's got his sights set on, Dolores or Gloria or someone, he's not doing himself any favors.
You should have bought him a nose hair trimmer for him.
What do you think? I made of money?
There's ones for like $2.
$2?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They're like one uses or whatever. But
yeah.
You'll get the gist.
They're good for one nose trimming. I would have helped him out if I would have spent the $2 because he's a nice guy. But it made me think. I always have to wear your glasses as you get older when you groom yourself and cut your nose hair and your ear hair and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Where am I going with this?
I think it's time for
It's time. Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question. Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions?
This question.
Domanda.
Question.
Questions.
Oh, it's a good one tonight, folks. It's National Splurge Day. What is in your shopping cart? National Splurge Day. So our question of the night is, what is in your shopping cart? You can let us know at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also text us on the app, or if you're watching on the stream on YouTube, Facebook, or Twixter, let us know. And if you're there, give us a like or a follow. We always like getting those. But what is in your shopping cart? What would you do if you could splurge and money was no object? What are you buying?
Well, I mean, there is something in my shopping cart. It's a new golf wedge.
Oh, golf stuff.
Yep.
Nice.
But if I actually want to get that. But if it's something that didn't matter,
yeah,
I'm getting Packer season tickets, even though you can't buy those.
You can't. What's a good answer? Look, the world is your oyster, folks. Have fun with it. I'm probably just buying, this sounds so nerdy, but like ink cartridges and all those things that you don't like to have to buy, but you have to buy them. Maybe some electronics equipment, a new sound bar, something like that for when I watch movies.
An 87-inch TV.
87-inch TV. I don't have the wall space for that, actually. And I got a pretty big TV, and I got a couple big ones, and I have good sound bars, but probably electronic stuff. Like, I've never done the thing where I've wired my whole house with, like, music, so you could just go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be
probably
cool.
do something like that. And then I would probably do some really good Asian takeout of some sort. I'm an easy guy. Let us know what you think, folks. It's National Splurge Day. What is in your shopping cart? Dave Patterson is here at 6:35. We've got some funny clips, too, we got to use. I got a great clip of Bill Burr who makes a point about how this is kind of morbid, but men are always the ones that drop dead immediately when you get to be like in your 50s. It's never women. And the way he tells the story is very funny. We'll play that. And a lot of other stuff. We got a fun night here. It's great that you're here. It's raining outside. Sit inside. Listen to the radio, folks. Be part of the show. It's Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The sight of you leaves me weak. There are no words left to speak. But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off you.
To the talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Todd Allball Show.
Have you been looking for an excuse to get fresh ink? Boy, do I have a good one for you. Hey, it's Amanda with another new Wisco 411 brought to you by Area 509 in Appleton. And this Saturday from noon till 4 at the Hive Aesthetics in Appleton, they're holding their first annual fundraiser, Ink for a Cause. It's benefiting Children's of Wisconsin. It's going to be a fun day featuring amazing vendors like the Hive, Little Birdies, Lumitox, and so much more. This is the excuse you've been waiting for. Head to WGBW.FM and click events to find out more.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. The Army National Guard has taught me the value of showing respect to those I come in contact with each day. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed and accomplish the mission. Plus, the Army National Guard education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We are the National Park Foundation, and together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation, gets their chance at an unforgettable moment. Learn more at nationalparks.org/.
Welcome back. This is a rainy Thursday night edition of Nightlight, folks. It is great to have you with me. Our question of the night is, it's National Splurge Day. So I'm asking the question, what is in your shopping cart? Monica Hale says, a trip to the British Isles. I didn't think of that. Like traveling, you could put tickets in there. Really anything.
Where are you going to go?
I'd probably go to like New Zealand.
That's a very interesting place to go to.
It is. I'd like to go there. I'd like to go to Italy and France. And I know you've been to Australia.
I have. When I was like 10, though. So I have some memories, but, they kind of fade.
You're due to go back. I'm tempted just to put like hit Costco and put chips and guacamole or something in my cart, too. That's so simplistic, though. Mike on social media also says, I took my $1,000 gift card to the dollar store.
That's 1,000 items.
Well, not necessarily.
Not
They're kind
anymore.
of throwing a curveball at you lately. Yeah. How much is this? $3. That used to be the joke. A lot of comics do. How much is this? Just go in there and pester the heck out of the employees. How much is this? So I want to play this clip. I thought this was so funny. Bill Burr is, I like him overall. I had the opportunity to work with Bill about 25 years ago. We did a college together in Colorado. And he was funny. He had not developed his act to where it is now, but he was a funny guy and engaging and kind of fun. We had a couple beers after the show. Nice guy. But I do see his stuff pop up a lot on social media, and I don't love all of it, but I thought this was funny, and I thought it was true. So let's hear that now, Conrad.
Currently, I am getting along with my wife better than I ever have in the 20 years that I've known her. Yeah. Yeah, I figured something out. Basically, what happened was a friend of mine died, right? I'm of that age, you know? It's starting to happen. I'm 56, right? Which, granted, this is too young to die of natural causes, but it's not too young to drop dead, right? Like, as a man, I am in my drop dead years, which are basically ages 49 to about 61. You know, anything past that, you're just looking at like a prolonged illness, you know? But these are the years that men drop dead. And dropping dead is a uniquely male experience, right? Women don't drop dead. When was the last time you were out to brunch and there was some woman, hey, I get my mouth done, just grabs her chest and face down into some tapas? Oh my God, Kathy, right? They don't. Men drop dead all the time. You're out there on the golf course, some guy, son, just her into the shrubs. Another guy driving at you in a cart, his buddy just falls out the side. What happened? You know what happened. He never cried. That's what happened. And he held on to it. You know, he was putting his pants on and he just rolled back on the bed. He never got back up again. It can happen. Like, I'll give you a scenario. Let's say, you know, I'm upstairs in the bathroom. My wife's downstairs making me breakfast, right? It's a fantasy, you know? Let's pretend women still cook for their men. She's Postmating something, and she's heating it up in the microwave. That's my love language, right? And I'm upstairs in the bathroom, and all of a sudden she just hears a big thud on the floor. And it's just like, honey? Honey, was that you? This isn't funny, honey. Right? And next thing you know, you're at my funeral. It happens just like that. And somebody's trying to put a positive spin on it. You know, he died doing what he loved. Trimming his pubes in the upstairs bathroom while listening to AC/DC.
That's funny. You're not laughing, Conrad. You told me you have a love-hate thing with Bill Burr. You don't like Bill Burr?
Yeah, he's all right.
He's all right? Okay. What is it? Is it a political thing, or is it just you don't think he's funny, or you think he's abrasive?
I just don't like him.
Wow. Did something happen?
I'm just kidding.
You held the door open for him and he didn't thank you? Is that-
Today at the gym, Bill Burr was working out at the YMCA.
Tyler from Wisconsin Rapids, he's at the 608, says the previous driver's shopping list. Previous driver's shopping list.
His previous shopping list?
I don't know. I don't know what that. Give us some explanation there, Tyler. We need to know. And Tyler's not being cheeky. Oftentimes, Tyler is cheeky when he's on the text line, or he'll put some innuendo up there, and they're always funny. You know what I did last night? I was craving, you know, oftentimes when I get back to Marinette at like 9 o'clock, I told you yesterday I went to Taco Bell.
Yeah, yep.
And I wasn't going to do that. I won't do that. I'm good for a year now with Taco Bell, maybe 6 months. But I wanted something kind of healthy, but not fast food, but I was starving. So I drove from here to Swamico, which is kind of on the way home, but you have to take a roundabout way to get there, just because I wanted a Jersey Mike's BLT with jalapenos.
Okay.
And I'm eating it on the way home, and I'm like, and it cost me about 25 minutes of my drive. But it was good, but I'm like, God, is this worth 25 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know. You could have just stopped at like a sub shop in Marinette, probably.
Well, they all close at 9, right? And I get there at like 9. So I don't
well,
know.
you could be that guy.
Yeah, walk in at like 2 minutes 9. Hey,
you guys are still open.
You're going to have to break all that stuff out. I know you just got to put away. Tonight's question, folks, it is National Splurge Day. What is in your shopping cart? And we've Monica expanded this a little bit. She bought travel packages, a trip to the British Isles. You can put that in a shopping cart. Mike says $1,000 gift card. to the dollar store. And Tyler says the previous driver shopping list. I'm probably going to do that too. I'm going to put traveling stuff in there and a lot of electronic equipment. So when we come back, folks, Bridge to Terabithia writer and producer David Patterson will be here. I'm very excited to have Dave back on the show. He's got new projects in the works. We'll talk about that with him. And his career as a stuntman, too, which is kind of cool. And then we're talking John Wick ballerina in hour number 2. It's Pete Schwaba and Nite Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Gold and silver shine. Shiny, happy people holding. Shiny, happy people holding. Shiny, happy.
Tom Hartman here. You're listening to 97.9 WGBW.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The state Supreme Court has struck a blow to the Republican-led legislature, saying lawmakers can't hold up the Attorney General from finalizing settlements in lawsuits. In a decision issued Tuesday, the court said that when lawsuits involve things like civil enforcement, those, the court said, are up to the executive branch. It partially undoes a 2018 lame duck law requiring the Department of Justice to get approval from the legislature's Budget Committee before settling. The state Supreme Court has a liberal majority, but Tuesday's opinion was unanimous, and it was written by one of the state's more conservative justices, Brian Hagedorn. The decision comes as Call announced Monday that Wisconsin and 54 other attorneys general plan to move forward with the $7.4 billion settlement with opioid maker Purdue Pharma. The suit accuses Purdue of aggressively marketing painkillers and fueling the opioid crisis. Under the agreement, Wisconsin would receive around $80 million, about half of that in the first 3 years. That's in addition to the more than $780 million already awarded to Wisconsin and its local governments from earlier opioid-related settlements. Call says while the money helps, it's impossible to fully make up for the harm.
We're never going to be able to get the kind of recovery that I believe matches the scale of the harm done, even in dollars and cents terms, let alone given the horrific human toll from this epidemic.
Under the proposed Purdue settlement, the Sackler family would be shielded from future lawsuits from Wisconsin. Payments would be spread over 15 years, but more than half of the money would come more quickly in the next 3 years or so. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Pop singer Neza might have gone to her last Dodger game. At least that's what she says. If you're wondering why, it's because she was told to sing the Star-Spangled Banner in English, but decided to sing it in Spanish anyway. This all happened last Saturday on the day of the No Kings protest taking place all over the country. The singer posted a TikTok video of a Dodgers executive telling her to sing it in English and then part of her performance, which was in Spanish. For what it's worth, it was received with enthusiastic applause. The Pit is a hit for Max, and fans of the intense medical drama will be happy to know that Season 2 production is underway. According to Variety, the show stars Noah Wyle as an ER doctor. Sound familiar? It was renewed in February. The Pit takes place at the fictitious Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Hospital. Wyle also executive produces the show alongside John Wells, who executive produced NBC's ER. Season 2 of The Pit will premiere in January 2026. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nite Light with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Isolated evening storms, otherwise partly cloudy and a low in the low 60s. Sunshine warmer and more humid tomorrow, high in the low 80s. With more showers and storms around Thursday night and Friday. High again in the low 80s. 90s ahead this weekend. It's 69 degrees right now.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Ken, as I like to call him, my least favorite Martin, chairman of the Democratic National Committee.
The other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Matt Flynn.
You go into combat and the general goes, I'm afraid. He reminds me of the coach of the Jets back in the 90s. The other team would come on the field and say, boy, they look big. No, I swear to God. And the Jets lost 12 games. I mean, you can't have this kind of stuff. Get this guy out of here. Put in Ben Wickler.
The Todd Albaugh Show. Weekdays 2 to 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Mark Sommerhauser, the communications director for the Wisconsin Policy Forum, analyzing the impacts of the big brutal bill.
That number that you mentioned of nearly $15,000 per person, literally about a quarter of the state's economy.
Basically a quarter of the state's economy coming from the federal government. I'm not hearing from Republicans in the state in their biennial budget planning any sort of contingency plan for major disruption in federal funding coming into the state.
The award-winning Maggie Dawn Show at its new time, weekdays 4 till 6 p.m. Maggie Dawn.
Tomorrow, we've got celebrity guests. We've got Marcelia Nicholson.
You want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo, I'm levitating. The Milky Way, we're renegading. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you, moonlight. You're my starlight. I need you.
This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Great to have you with us on this rainy Wednesday night. I'm starting to think I'm like on candid camera or something. Every time I get here, it starts raining. I will get out of my car in the parking garage. I will walk the block and a half. It'll rain. I get into the studio, and it stops.
I think Todd's doing it to you.
He is. He's got that paranormal stuff happening. He controls the weather. DeLorean Walls will not be on the show, folks, tonight in the second hour. He had to cancel. DeLorean founded a group called Brothers Helping Brothers, and June is Men's Mental Health Month, so we will reschedule DeLorean next week and hope everything is okay on the home front. Right now, I'm very excited to welcome my next guest. He's been on the show before. We've been pals for a long time. Pardon me. He's a very talented filmmaker and a heck of a nice guy. He wrote the Bridge to Terabithia and produced films like Love Ludlow and The Great Gilly Hopkins. And he joins us now on the stream, and his name is Dave Patterson. Hey, buddy.
How are we doing, Pete?
Doing very well. It's great to see you. And I always love that Casablanca poster you have. If you're watching on the stream, you know what I'm talking about, folks. He's got this awesome bogey poster right behind.
Yeah, all these things behind me are movies I made except Casablanca because, I was not around. I thought about it pre-womb, but just had nothing to do with it, really. So.
Time for a reboot. You got a big credit under your belt. Come on, you can make it happen.
And yeah, they're remaking everything now. So,
Yeah. Casablanca 2, Electric Boogaloo. There you go.
Yeah.
How you been?
Good. You mentioned rain. It's been raining around New York, I think, for the last 3.5 years. So we're getting a little tired of it.
I bet you are. So I have to get this off my chest because we're friends. But I noticed you cast something recently. I was not on the cast list, A, and B, I never even got an audition. And I am getting a little tired of the fact that when these movies are being cast, apparently nobody wants a guy with developing man boobs and a 1.5 pack. What is going on? Why can't I get in these doors, Dave?
Well, so in my defense, if you looked a little closer at the casting, it was my son's first movie. I did not even get a chance to audition. There was a role perfect for me, and I was not allowed to audition. So it was not my film. It was my son's film.
Man.
His first film. I think you're familiar with that, right? Having a son's first film.
I have a son. Yes, absolutely. Wow. I didn't notice that. I saw you posted it, but now that I look down, it says Carter Lord Patterson. No kidding.
There you go.
Fantastic.
So yeah, that's his first film.
And it's called Show and Tell.
Show and Tell.
And he's got his cast coming together. Look at that.
Yeah. Listen, it's all on him. I'm Scottish, so I even didn't give him any money because I said you have to learn the hard way, and so you got to go beg and threaten and steal to make your own film.
Well, you must be helping him out, other than posting on Facebook.
I've told him, I've given him a list of things not to do to make a movie, because you and I do have a couple years on us, so I think we've made a couple choices, which some people would call mistakes, but others would say, reckless challenges towards the gods above. And so, we've done okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. Pardon me. I wish him luck. This is really exciting, and I'm excited for you because I'll be honest. As much as I have apprehensions about my kids entering in this crazy racket, it is nice because we have a lot to talk about. But I'm scared for them. I don't want them. Sometimes I just wish they would go be plumbers or write code or something I know nothing about, so I could just assume they have it handled. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Does that make
look,
sense?
I was devastated when my first son said he wanted to be a writer, but then he said he wanted to get a real job. So, I breathed a little, more about that. My second son got a scholarship to actually go to college to be an actor. So again, I wept openly.
Nice.
But then he changed his mind and he said, I actually want to go in the music business. I want to be an agent. I'm like, that's great because that means you're just stealing money from everyone, all the struggling artists. But he goes, but I know you're concerned about that scholarship, so I'm going to continue to minor in theater so I can keep the scholarship. And I'm like, that's my boy,
Brilliant.
Learn how to take money and steal money at the same time in school. So
you got a regular William Macy, Felicity Huffman thing going there, scamming the universities like that. Good for you.
Actually, that was the same school, by the way. But you didn't hear that from me. So
that's great. Well, that's exciting. I wish him luck. You are Scottish, and you mentioned that you seem very proud to be Scottish because oftentimes when I have you on the show, Dave, you mention that you're Scottish, which to me, as I get older, like I'm primarily Irish. I'm somewhat proud of that. I'm somewhat proud of my other ethnicities, but it matters less and less to me as I get older. I just don't care what people's ethnicities are. But tell me, why are you proud to be Scottish?
Well, because, you as you get older, you get even cheaper, right? So you really don't want to spend money or anything like that. So one of the first things I explain to people is my name is Patterson with one T. People always give me an extra T. And I try to explain to them, I'm like, 2 T's is English. 1 T is Scottish for Patterson. We refuse to pay for the extra T. Therefore, you should remember Patterson with 1 T is Scottish. Patterson with 2 T's is English. Simple as that.
What do they say to you when you say that? What kind of look do they give?
Actually, some people say, I know some Scottish people with 2 T's in their last name. And I say, oh, right, the traders. And they're like, what? I said, well, back when Scotland was trying to separate from England and everything like that, the lords who actually, killed the Braveheart dude who were Scottish. When they said, okay, let's make a deal with the British said, okay, we're going to give you land, we're going to give you money, but you can't keep the 1 T, Scottish Patterson, because people get confused. So we're going to give you an extra T, and you can still stay Patterson, but it's 2 T's. So that's why when people get very proud that they're Scottish with 2 T's, I'm like, well, your great granddad did some pretty bad stuff to William Wallace. I just want you to know. So.
Have you seen the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer?
Yes, way back when, when he's just yelling at the kid with the big head. Is that the specific scene or?
That scene is great, and then just he'd pants no, like he's making the kid get his pants all the time.
Yeah.
That floored me, and you don't see a lot of movies with Scottish people featured like that. I know that's a caricature, but I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's not Scottish, it's crop. I think that's what was the big line in that. So.
Exactly. Well, I've got a lot I want to ask you about. I always love hearing your Bridge to Terabithia stories, but let's talk about how you got your start, Dave. I find this fascinating because in my life, I've done a few things backwards. And I remember when I was in my late teens and I was, studying, I was working out and studying martial arts and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm going to be a stuntman. That'll be my way into acting. And then, a year goes by and someone just basically hits you over the head and goes, why don't you just be an actor, idiot? If you want to act. You don't have to be a stuntman. But here I am talking to one of my pals, Dave Patterson. You are still a stuntman, and you've managed to act a little bit and write and do a lot of different things. So it's led to good things for you.
Right. So I actually was forced into the acting stunt world at a very, very young age. Really? I grew up in a very tough neighborhood in Washington, D.C., and I was always picked on. I was a small kid. Bullies I was a magnet for bullies. They'd walk around. I'd be behind them, and they knew to turn around and beat up that kid. So what I learned at a very young age is that bullies don't punch nearly as hard when they're laughing. So I realized that if I'm doing, a shuck and jive kind of dance thing or being funny, they actually didn't want to hit me. They'd rather sit back and be amused. And the stunt part came in because if I had to take a punch, I knew how to go down and not get hurt. So it really, my whole performing career was just to stay alive. And then as I got a little older, I said, hey, maybe I can make some money out of this deal as opposed to just taking a big punch from Brandon Foy or his brother. So, that was the objective. That's how I started out. And then even in school, I became a class comedian. Big difference. I was not a class clown because teachers hate class clowns because you're just all over the place and you're not respecting them. A comedian knows how to respect the audience, how to read the audience, and also amuse the entire audience. So I knew when to tell the jokes that would make the teacher laugh, the kids laugh. And, I realized that maybe down the road I could turn this into some money. And so
that's really well said. And you're right. The class comedian reads the room. The class clown is just an idiot, like a dunce almost. Yeah. That's very well said. What's the worst? I saw Mission Impossible a couple weeks ago. I'm in awe of Tom Cruise. Sean Penn recently said Tom Cruise might be the best stuntman in Hollywood too. What's your take on that? And what have you done that's been really dangerous, Dave? Did you ever do anything that was where you were kind of worried about your life?
The thing about when you're doing stunts, you're not concerned about yourself, your safety, everything like that. You're afraid of screwing up in front of your boss. And your boss is the stunt coordinator that hired you. Because you're like, if I screw this up, then he's not going to want to hire me again. So that's the biggest fear, is actually embarrassing yourself in front of your boss. You lose a leg, okay, big deal. But if you embarrass yourself losing your leg in front of your boss, that's a horrible thing. So as I tell people when they ask me about stunts, I go, I've been shot, stabbed, drowned. I had my throat slit and electrocuted. And that's actually just in the last 5 years of marriage. That's not actually involving with stunts. Now, I'm hoping you giggled a little bit. I didn't hear it, but my wife hates that joke. She hates that joke, but it usually gets a smile, at least for all you radio listeners. I hope you're smiling out there. But probably the most dangerous stunt I ever did was I was Robin Williams' stunt double. And I had to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge and then drown in the East River. Now, before you go, did you jump off the Brooklyn Bridge? This was after 9/11. So actually, I just got up on the bridge and then I had to do a 40-foot free fall in a studio. But then I had to drown in the East River for about 4 hours while we shot it. And people who are not familiar with the East River in New York, it's called Hell's Gate for a reason. It's because there's only a very short period of time where the tide is not coming in or going out, because it's a river going out and you have the ocean tides coming in because it's the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
It's a very short period of time where they're just kind of ruffling against each other, and that's where you drown. And just to be safe, they had a line around my ankle, basically a fishing line. If I disappeared, they could reel me in and keep track of me. But they also had me holding on to an anchor to try to stay in place, because even at the quietest, you were still moving around. And of course, with movies, you know how it is. It was supposed to start at like 3:01, and it was 3:55. And my stunt coordinator is going, the tides are changing, telling the director the tides are changing. So that's why they had to put an anchor in for me to hold underwater while I'm face down in the river. And the director's like, why is he moving? Why is he moving? And my stunt coordinator says, because the tide is going about 15 miles an hour. And so we're actually have him holding onto an anchor underwater, but even that is dragging because of the of how quick the tide was going. And but again, I wasn't concerned about drowning. I was concerned about not getting the shot correct. And
that's crazy. So so you're 40 feet. You had to do that, the fall?
Yes, in a studio. And they didn't tell me about it, by the way. They had me do some CGI where I just stepped off and showed Robin Williams how to step off and fall. And then they started pulling everything away. And the director goes, okay, now for the high fall. And my stunt coordinator looked at me and I looked at him and I went, high fall? Because I actually taking a break from stunt work to raise my boys. You knew that. And this is one of my first gigs getting back in the business. And he walked to the truck. He goes, we didn't discuss the high fall.
Let's pick up right there when
Yeah.
we come back. We're coming right back. Dave Patterson's here. It's Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
As Wisconsin has a fish fry on a Friday night, this is the Civic Media Radio Network. Remembering Vietnam, brought to you by The Dispensary.
We started getting shot at, so we're running and shooting and diving into the ditches and getting up and running some more. We get to the bodies and it dawns on me. How in the hell are we supposed to carry them back? The captain says, "Give me your rifles." So we picked them up and started carrying them back. We were scared out of our minds. They were still shooting at us. How they missed, I do not know. They must have thought we were nuts. We got about a quarter mile back and somebody had decided, to hell with it. Let's go back there and get the truck and pick them up. That was a bad day. I was so scared going back there and trying to carry them, I couldn't even think about what was going on. Mike Brzezinski, United States Army, Vietnam.
Hear this full story at WGBW.FM. Click on Remembering Vietnam. Brought to you by The Dispensary. Online at the d8dispensary.com.
Insight Eye Care has been serving the Fox Valley for over 30 years and are proud sponsors of Mino and the Mayor's Eye on the Community. Insight offers comprehensive eye care, including glasses and contact lenses. Their doctors have a special interest in treating chronic eye disease, specialty contact lenses, and pediatric care. Find Insight on Sawyer Street in Oshkosh and Chain Drive in Appleton. Visit WIinsight.com to schedule your eye exam. Improving lives by improving sight. Insight Eye Care.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. For the last few months, Governor Tony Evers has said repeatedly that he would make a decision about whether or not to run for a third term after the state budget process is completed. In a recent opinion column at the recombobulation area, I made the argument that the decision that Evers should make should be to not seek a third term as Wisconsin's governor. This argument is not one of ideological differences or policy disagreements. Tony Evers has been a good governor and has served the state well. This more has to do with Evers' age. He'll be 75 years old in November 2026, and about how the Democratic Party has had a massive, inescapable problem in its unwillingness to pass the torch to the next generation. Tony Evers needs to do what so many other Democrats have struggled so mightily to do and step aside when the time is right. And after Joe Biden's catastrophic 2024, this is a conversation we need to be having, and we need to be having it now. Democrats can't keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. It's time to do things differently.
Find all of Dan's work at the recombobulation area.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Every time I think of you, I feel a shot right through the bow of blue. It's no problem of mine, but it's a problem I find. Living a life that
This is a Wednesday edition of Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Great to have you with me. Our question of the night, it's National Splurge Day, folks. So what is in your shopping cart? We will catch up on texts in just a little while. Right now, we have some more time with our pal, Dave Patterson, who is here. Dave wrote and produced the film The Bridge to Terabithia, Dave. The is not in the title.
Yeah.
I found that out.
No, the. That would have cost extra in the posters. So
it's just like the extra T. Yeah, you can't have that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So we were talking before the break about you finding out you have to make this long jump and teaching Robin Williams how to do it, or coaching him somehow. How was that?
Basically, I was coaching him on how to step off the bridge, facsimile, and he had to do, I think, like a 4-foot drop onto a nice soft bag. Then they pulled everything away and put me up in the way up in the rafters, and I had to do a 40-foot version of that for the green screen. and then they would match it later with me in the East River. And it was unexpected for me and my stunt coordinator. And he walks up to me and basically looks at me. We didn't even speak. It's like, you're going to do it, right? Even though we both didn't expect this, you're going to do it, right? And not say a thing or complain or anything. And I'm like, yes. So I went ahead and did it. And I hadn't done a large free fall since I was much younger. I told you I'd left the business to raise my boys, and I had just gone back to the business. And but I made it, and I didn't get hurt. But I had to land mostly on my stomach, chest, and face because of the way the fall was. And it was just on those gym mats that are about 18 inches thick, because there wasn't enough room for anything more comfortable. And but one of the great things was Robin insisted on watching the falls. And the first person that got me off the mat was him. And he was like, how's it, Chief? How you doing? That looked like it hurt. I go, well, it didn't tickle, but I'm doing okay. And he was a wonderful man.
Land on your stomach.
Yes,
40
yes.
feet. How does that work? You on a cord where it kind of softens the blow?
No, there was no cord. That was the thing. It was a free fall, no cord or anything like that. It was just don't hurt yourself, basically. It was make sure as you fall, don't hurt yourself. And luckily I just did it in 2 takes. And I made it. And he went and yelled at one of the producers and got me an additional $500 for it because,
Robin Williams.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Boy, that's I don't use the word hero very often, Dave, but you're mine after hearing that story. So
I need to record that and share that with my wife a little later on if I could. So
what's the movie?
It's called The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. And then the other most dangerous stunt was me and Mila Kunis' stunt double, not me and Mila Kunis. We had to race a van down Ditmars Boulevard about 80 miles an hour, blowing all these different lights. The issue was they had only stopped 6 different intersections, and the director was yelling at us to go. We went through another 4 intersections without protection, or the light stopped. We got pulled over by cops. They were going to cuff us when the director showed up with everyone, and because they saw us blow through some red lights, and they're like, you could have killed someone. And we're like, sorry. Wow. And so we didn't get arrested, but the cop did chew out everyone on the set because they should have taken another 3 or 4 lights and protected those. So that, I guess that was even more dangerous because we could have just plowed into a bag lady or something like that. But
David Patterson is my guest. He is the writer, producer of The Bridge to Terabithia, Love Ludlow, The Great Gilly Hopkins, and he is a good pal. I have to tell you, I think cops are hilarious on movie sets. Like, I love how they sort of we were shooting. You've seen my film, The Godfather of Green Bay. Lance Barber and I were shooting. We're just going guerrilla style on the strip, driving this little Geo. The cameraman's in front of us in a pickup truck with the camera sandbag down, and he's filming us, and we get pulled over. And I make up some story about how we're sorry, officer. We don't have the permits. We just needed to grab this one shot. I got to get Lance back to L.A. He's on Yes Dear tomorrow, which was a sitcom back.
Sure.
I go, have you seen the show? And the cop is looking at us like he knows I'm full of it. And he goes, yeah, I like that show. Like, okay. So he just let us go. He was like the coolest guy in the world, but like they seem to want to help. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In New York City, the New York Film office, basically New York Film office, they assign you cops if you're shooting in the city. And depending on the size of the crew, they assign many different cops. You don't even have to pay for it. That's the beauty of it. It's not rent a cop. It's just give a cop. And so they give you cops, and they're there just to make sure if some homeless guy comes up and starts, throwing trash cans, you got a cop there to make sure that he goes away. And so, but the cops, yes, they are funny. They always make sure that there's enough donuts at the craft services. Otherwise, there's going to be a complaint. But yeah, they are funny. Another interesting thing about civil servants is there's a lot of firemen that are stuntmen in New York City.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because it's one of the few jobs, civil servant jobs, where you can have another job, because firemen work for 4 days, then they're off for 3 days. They work for 3 days, or off for 4 days. Right. So they're allowed another job. So I've worked with a lot of New York City firemen who are also stuntmen. And they're just as crazy, if not more so, than regular stuntmen. So.
David Patterson is my guest. All right, here's what I want to do, Dave. When we do, we're going to do the news quick, as we call it, intermission. I want to ask you about Robin Williams, what you thought of him, and I want you to explain a little bit. I love when I meet people who have different backgrounds. You didn't just go to film school and you're making movies. You've done it all. You're also a volunteer fire department. You're the commissioner of the Parks Department. You've been a stuntman, a playwright. You just have a fascinating story. So we'll get into that when we come back. And obviously, I'll ask you about Bridge to Terabithia. And you need to tell us how your most recent film, The Girl Who Wore Freedom, did too. We'll do all of that after the news. Dave Patterson is here, ladies and gentlemen, on a Wednesday, a school night. Do you believe that? It's Pete Schwaba on Nightlight. We're coming right back on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is 97.9 WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a Civic Media radio station.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Sources tell ABC News that President Trump has approved of Iran attack plans but has not made a final decision on the matter. The president met with his national security team in the Situation Room for a second day in a row. U.S. diplomatic staff evacuated in Israel. Retired General Robert Abrams, an ABC News contributor, says that does signal broader American involvement.
I'm glad they're getting them out. It's the right thing to do because we don't, this is all very unpredictable.
The Federal Reserve kept its key rate unchanged for the fourth straight meeting today and said the economy is expanding, but the Fed expecting President Trump's tariffs to push up prices by the end of this year. A Massachusetts jury has found Karen Reed not guilty of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend in 2022. The Supreme Court ruling 6-3 along ideological lines, upholding a Tennessee law banning certain gender-affirming care treatments for minors. This is ABC News.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Federal grand juries returned indictments in two separate child pornography cases this week. The first involves 29-year-old Brandon Boogren of Shawano, who is accused of creating videos in 2019 of himself and a then 2-year-old child engaged in explicit sexual activity. The indictment alleges Boogren then distributed the videos via the internet to a buyer in Texas. If convicted, Boogren faces up to 30 years in prison, a $250,000 fine, and will have to register as a sex offender. The other indictment alleges that 57-year-old Todd Grimm of Menasha received child pornography several times in 2023. He faces 3 counts of receipt of child pornography, and if convicted, he faces 5 to 20 years in prison, up to $250,000 in fines, and will have to register as a sexual offender under state and federal law. Both cases were brought forward by Project Safe Childhood, a nationwide initiative to combat the growing epidemic of child sexual exploitation and abuse. The Wisconsin Election Commission is mailing postcards to over 200,000 registered voters in the state, advising them to confirm their eligibility. The commission is advising anyone who receives one of these postcards with official voter registration notice on it that they will have until July 15th to respond. The postcards are being sent to people who have not voted over the past 4 years and ask the recipients if they want to remain a registered voter at their listed address. If recipients don't respond, their voter registration will be deactivated on July 31st. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
It's the Cubs and the crew. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Game 2 of the Cubs and the Brewers tonight in Chicago, where rain is in the forecast at Wrigley Field. The Cubs winning last night 5-3. Milwaukee's Chad Patrick lasted 5 innings, but gave up 4 runs. Manager Pat Murphy.
I thought Chad Patrick did a nice job. He had a little struggle in the 5th there, third time around. I thought Mears and Rob Z, at least for the first inning, and Anderson were really good. So a lot of positives from it. A lot of good things tonight. So I'll stick with that right now.
NFL, Jair Alexander signed a 1-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens today. The former Packers defensive back released last week will earn $6 million. Packers' new president, Ed Policy, on the Lions, Vikings, and Packers this season.
It's pretty exciting because I don't think the entire NFL has ever been more competitive than it is right now. And I think our division is not only the most competitive division in football right now, but maybe in the history of the NFL.
That's the Packers' new president and CEO, Ed Policy, with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Isolated evening storms, otherwise partly cloudy and a low in the low 60s. Sunshine warmer and more humid tomorrow, high in the low 80s. With more showers and storms around Thursday night and Friday, high again in the low 80s. 90s ahead this weekend. It's 69 degrees right now.
John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
On Thursday's show, we'll find out what it's like to be a mom with your daughter deployed with the U.S. Army.
And we know it's June Dairy Month, so we're joined by Pam Yonke, the fabulous farm babe. Join us.
Carmelo Anthony for the Bail Project.
Bad news, you've been arrested. Good news, you're innocent until proven guilty. If you can pay your bail, good news, you go home to wait your trial. If you can't, sorry, you go to jail to wait. But sure, you still presumed innocent. But since you can't afford bail, you've lost your freedom. That's not right. And that's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
The Joint Finance Committee was leaked that they intend to cut $87 million from the UW system budget. And so we put this out on our socials last night, and today the Joint Finance Committee decided to pull that from the agenda. Because apparently, from what I'm told, Republican legislators got a lot of calls. When the truth is disseminated and people react, results
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who does his own stunts, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Act 2 here at Nightlight tonight. Great to have you with me. We've got a secret. DeLorean Walls had to cancel tonight, so we have a secret review of the film Ballerina coming up at 7:35. And our question of the night is in honor of National Splurge Day. What is in your shopping cart? We'll catch up on texts in just a few minutes. And we talked a little bit in the first hour about how Conrad holds doors open for people, and no one seems to thank him, regardless of demographic or age.
Yep.
It just doesn't happen. I'm sure he would love to hear or get some advice from all of you. And I had a guy bird dogging me at the gym the other night who wanted to work in, and I didn't know what to do with that. So we had it was a great conversation. But right now, I'm very excited. We've got my pal Dave Patterson is here. Dave is a movie producer and a writer and a playwright and a stuntman and a firefighter. And he does all kinds of things. Do you do foot massages, Dave? Is that on your
only for the wife on her birthday and anniversary. So
okay, just those 2 times. Is that because you don't want to do them at other times, or is she just like, you're not touching my dogs unless it's a special occasion?
We have an agreement. I don't want to go into it. She's an attorney. There's an NDA that's been signed. So let's just say, we've agreed to disagree on how many foot massages happen, and those are the 2 guaranteed ones. So
I like it. I like how you guys make things work, and I always love to hear the word ergo or mea culpa when it comes to a foot massage. So
there you go.
Legalese, absolutely. All right, so we were talking about all your various careers, and it's interesting. I always feel like, especially as a writer, you have to bring stuff and life experiences to whatever it is you're writing. And you've got a stuntman background, and it sounds like you've done some really cool stunts, and you worked with Robin Williams. How was he, by the way? Was he pretty cool?
He was the most generous and incredible person I've ever worked with. And he's a star, but he insisted on coming out of his trailer to watch me do his stunts to make sure I was okay. So the first person to help me off the mat from my high fall was Robin Williams. Him helping me off the mat. Said, "How we doing, Chief?" And then drowning in the East River, the first hand to reach out to me was Robin Williams. Someone else was holding his other hand because it was on a jetty, and he was helping me out of the water. He goes, "How we doing? Water looked chilly. How about that, Chief?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was a little chilly." I mean, for that, I had never experienced that on any other film set when I was doing stunt work, that the actors were concerned about the safety of their stunt people. And it's
What do you think about Tom Cruise, Dave? Like when he does these stunts, how protected? Like, I don't know if you saw the most recent Mission Impossible or the one where in Ghost Protocol he jumped to the other building and broke his leg or broke his foot. How protected is he? Like, is it a miracle he's still alive, or do they take such precaution? And I know that there are insurance issues when you make movies. You have to really protect people, but what's your take on that?
Well, I'd have to say Tom Cruise, who I really respect as both an actor and a stuntman.
Yeah.
He does have a level of crazy, which you have to give him street cred for. I've never met a stuntman who's worked with him that has not given him the exact same. There are safety elements to protect you in certain stunts. But if you've seen, I'm not ruining this because you've seen it in all the trailers, he jumps out of an airplane with a flaming parachute. And yes, there is another parachute to help him as he's going down. However, sometimes backup chutes don't open either. And so when you talk about pure, I guess, craziness in a lot of ways, or faith in yourself, or maybe he's best friends with Jesus, I don't know. But I think the most dangerous job on a Tom Cruise movie is the producer that okays those stunts, because they may be out of a job if that chute doesn't open. So, I recently heard that he's getting an Oscar. He's getting an Oscar, the next Oscars, for his, overall contribution to the film business. I think he deserves it, to be perfectly honest. I think he's a good actor, and I think he got kind of shortchanged in a couple things earlier in his career. But what he's done for the film industry overall, and especially for stuntmen, he's done a lot of things. They still need an Oscar for stunts, but we're working that way. We're working towards that.
Right. That's a great answer. So as we've discussed in the past on this show, you wrote and produced Bridge to Terabithia, the movie version. Your mom, Catherine Patterson, wrote that absolutely brilliant book.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to tell you all what kind of guy Dave is. My daughter was reading it in 5th grade. I decided to read it with her because I knew you and because I wanted to see what she was reading. So we had that experience together. I thought it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. And there were a couple times I just couldn't stop crying. I teared up, and it was just beautiful. Some very, very beautiful passages in the book. Dave agreed to meet with my daughter's class over, I don't even know if it was Zoom or if Zoom even existed then. It was pre-COVID, but you talked to her whole class, and I cannot say enough nice things about you. I still appreciate that to this day, and they got such a kick out of it. But how do you feel when this masterpiece your mom wrote is banned at various libraries throughout the country? I want to fight people when I hear that. I get so angry.
Yeah, you just kind of shake your head. You shake your head because, there's so many worse things in the world, on the planet. And for them, because, one of the big things is the young girl questions the existence of God. What kid doesn't question the existence of anything in today's world? Authority, rules, regulations. And she doesn't say there is no God. She just questions it. And yet the book has been banned because of that. Some of the most ridiculous things is that the book suggests incest because the boy lives in the same or sleeps in the same bedroom with his sister because the house is like this big. And they're like, well, that's definitely incest that, you have an older boy sleeping in the same room with his younger sister. And it's like, well, have you ever met a poor person? I mean, literally you have 4 or 5 kids sleeping in the same room. And, I don't think that's an orgy. I think it's just 4 kids having to live in the same room because that's all the space they have. So, and ludicrous things, part of it's based on me as a child. And my mother knew that we used to create forts down by this creek and we would play and imagine. And so she wrote about that in the book and people were like, oh, well, this is about witchcraft and, Santeria and all this stupid things because the kids are making their own worlds. It's crazy. And, we have discussed this, my mother and I and other folks over the years. We don't think it's that. It's that they don't want a very tragic thing happens. I don't know if we want to ruin it for all the audiences, but that really, really bad thing that happens in the book, adults don't want children to be exposed to that. So they find a myriad of excuses to ban the book so children do not have to face that horrible thing that happens to all of us at some point in our lives.
Right. Which your mom handled so beautifully in the book and explains it. Like, if anything, that's how you want kids to learn how to deal with loss or see an example of it.
Yeah.
To me, I just thought it was amazing. It's based on your childhood and a friendship you had. So you're right. You don't want to ruin it for people, but I do encourage everybody to read The Bridge to Terabithia.
It's about a young boy's friendship found and friendship lost. And then you have to read the book to see how that happened.
So great. David Patterson is my guest. He is a movie producer and writer of movies and plays. So tell us a little bit about, you had a unique experience as a volunteer firefighter, Dave. You live in the suburbs of New York.
Mm-hmm.
How have you been able to bring any of those experiences to your writing or acting or stunt work?
Well, it's an interesting question. I was a rescue worker at 9/11. I had a construction background, one of my thousands of jobs, and I specialized in demolition. And so I walked into Ground Zero after the attacks and worked there for a couple of days. And when I came back out of it, I told my wife that there was 2 things that affected me. First of all, working alongside all the firemen, I wanted to become one, but I was already too old for New York City. They had a 30-year-old cutoff, and I was already 35. So I said, well, I think I could do it in town. And I want to become a fireman in town. And I've been now almost 25 years. Next year will be 25 years in the fire department. Nice. And then I also said, and I may get on a plane tomorrow, may not land. So as a writer, I want to try to make a movie of my plays. I'd already had several plays done, some in New York City, but my career wasn't going anywhere. So I said, I'm going to take one of my plays and I'm going to make it into a movie. I'm going to send it to this film festival in California called Sundance. This is how ignorant I was. Sundance is in Utah, but I just knew Robert Redford was in charge of it. So I just assumed it was in California, Hollywood. And it got in. And literally my career as a writer, producer took off in film. And that's primarily what I've been doing for all these years. But if you want to talk about finding characters in a fire department, let me tell you, that's a place to find characters and stories and steal them. A good writer always steals from people that they're unaware of. And then you just kind of change it around to make it your own. So the funny thing is, when I got into Sundance, the New York Times called my captain at the firehouse. And they said, we would like to talk to you about David Patterson. He said, this is New York Times? Like, yeah. You want to talk about Dave Patterson? Like, yeah. What do you do? And they said, well, he has a movie that's going to the Sundance Film Festival. My captain's like, well, what is the Sundance Film Festival? She goes, well, it's a film festival. It's like, Patty, he's like, no, he's a stay-at-home mom. He's probably vacuuming right now. He does not write. None of them knew I was a writer. None of them knew that I was an actor or stuntman. I just joined as a local guy, and they had no idea of my entertainment background. And so then they actually called me in and really grilled me about what I do in my life, because they knew me as a stay-at-home dad. They just figured I'd been unemployed for years and given up on looking for a job. And that's why I was home raising 2 boys.
That's so great. Have you seen the manhunt, the search for Osama bin Laden? And I'm asking you this because, as someone who is so close to ground zero, just as a dad who had a 1-year-old son when 9/11 happened, and I was scared to death because we were living in L.A. I thought L.A. was next. I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
It was hard for me to watch the first 20 or 30 minutes of it. I don't want to watch those planes crash anymore. I just can't. I'm just done with it. I lived through it from a distance, obviously, not like you, but do you watch those shows, or can you get into them, or is it too difficult?
Well, that one specifically, no. Every year, when it comes around, when they start showing, the reenactments or the stories about, the day that I do watch them, because the crazy thing is, and I'm not the only one to say this, those of us who were there still have trouble believing that it actually happened.
Wow.
I mean, to be there, I mean, people say you always remember the smell. I mean, firemen remember smell. That smell was so unique. I've been in a lot of fires, and there's never been a smell like that again. And so I think a lot of us check ourselves. That work ground zero, and I don't know if you are familiar or the audience familiar. We've had more people die from cancers from working at ground zero than the people that actually died that day. And I've lost a couple friends, and there will be many, many more to come. So a lot of us that were there do watch these things because it still did it, because a lot of America has forgotten about it. So for a lot of it, it's like it did happen. I'm pretty sure it happened. I was there. I saw it. I was a part of it. And
This is great stuff. Let's pick up there. We have a couple more minutes with Dave Patterson after this very short break. Thanks. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Look up cheese curds, you'll find this basic definition: wet pieces of curdled milk. Well, it should also include the word delicious. As we continue to celebrate June Dairy Month, do you know how much milk is needed to make 1 pound of cheese curds? 16 ounces, 64 ounces, or 160 ounces, 10 pounds of milk? The answer coming up.
It actually is a sound of freshness.
Rachel Kerr is talking about squeaky curds. She's with the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and a bit of a cheese nerd.
Those elastic protein strands rub against the enamel of your teeth and create that characteristic sound.
The squeak turns stretchy when battered and deep fried. Some believe the idea to fry globs of cheese happened by accident. I consider it a happy accident. Okay, did you guess? It takes 10 pounds of milk, which is a big gallon jug plus a little bit more, to make 1 pound of squeaky cheese curds. Call me your curd girl for this slice of Wisconsin. I'm Terry Barr for the Civic Media Radio Network.
Small businesses are the heart of America. As the nation's largest
There's a problem, feathers, iron, bargain, buildings, weights, and pulleys.
Welcome back. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Great to have you with me on this rainy Wednesday. Tony the Trucker. Our question is, what's in your shopping cart? Because it is National Splurge Day. Tony the Trucker says, Pete, it's whatever makes my wife happiest. That's pretty vague. And I read that because we'll get to the rest of your text. I knew Dave would like that one because you love a good wife joke, Dave.
Absolutely. I've exhausted them after 30 years of marriage, so it's always good to hear another one.
Hey, speaking of which, tell us how you released a movie last year called "The Girl Who Wore Freedom." You released it, I think, in 110 cities, close to D-Day. How did that movie do, and where can people see it?
Well, you can catch it on Amazon. It is on basically all the streamers,
Okay.
and that sort of dovetails to the story about the release last year. The film came out during the film festival circuit. You and I are familiar with the film festival circuit.
Yeah.
During the COVID film festival circuit, so it pretty much died a miserable death. Every festival it got in, it won the award for best documentary, and we struggled to find distribution. And then, not last December, but the December before, I told her, I said, you know what, we're going to put this in the movie theaters. And the filmmaker, she's like, there's absolutely no way we can do that because it's already on streaming. We don't have a distributor. I'm like, no, we're the distributor. Because technology had changed so much that we weren't sending film cams to places. We were sending, the little DCP things or whatever you call them. Yeah. And so she goes, well, what, you're going to go after the major chains? I went, absolutely not. I said, this is about America. This film is about America. It's about Americans who sacrificed everything. And we're coming up on the 80th anniversary. So like I said, it was 18 months ago. I said, this film's about D-Day. It's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. We're going to get it in theaters. And what I did is, and when I explained to people about the internet, it's great, not just for free porn, but there actually is valuable research that you can get out of it. So what I did is I researched all the mom and pop theater chains throughout the United States. And there are thousands of them where they own like 4 or 5 theaters, but each theater has 2 or 3 screens. And the average age of these owners are your age or mine age or older who had family in World War II, whether it be parents or cousins. And so I tracked down their emails. I reached out. I said, we'd like to do this for D-Day. We're looking to release a week before D-Day or through it and after. And we want to honor the veterans of your community. And again, I did the research. I said, you still have 2 World War II veterans in your community, or you have 12 in your community. Yeah. And I said, this is an opportunity for you to honor the Americans that gave you the right to show whatever movie you want in your theater.
Love it.
And they bit. And we got it in over 110 theaters throughout the U.S. And it's a documentary. Do we make a ton of money? No, but I'm Scottish. We did not lose money. And that is the important thing. We made some cash. Everything got paid, and that was it. But it was a wonderful experience. And like Salt Lake City did a day of recognition. They did a letter of recognition. I forget what it's called, but a proclamation. And they honored all the veterans of World War II and all the veterans past and present. And they mentioned our show, and it was playing at this theater. And, it was a wonderful experience because 85th, there's not going to be that many vets around from
every year, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, this is shocking. When we did this almost 2 years ago, there were 250,000 World War II veterans still alive. I don't know what it is now, but by the 85th anniversary, that number will probably be 50,000. And those are the guys that lied, who were like 14 and 15, that lied to get into the services because
to fight for their country. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that is. I don't know if people are listening. To self-distribute is a ton of heavy lifting. So I applaud you for that, Dave. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean,
and I didn't know
everyone was scared but me. Everyone was scared about it but me because I'm the dumb stunt man. I'm like, oh yeah, we can do it. It's no problem.
That's the Scottish in you, right?
Exactly.
Of course we can do this. I was going to make a free porn joke, but it just would have landed with a thud. My joke was going to be, I've got a $2,000 a month internet porn habit, so I didn't know it was free.
Yeah,
all right.
That's a badump joke,
Hey, next time you come on the show, I want you to tell your you say you pulled a Hasselhoff. We'll get into that next time. I cannot thank you enough for being here tonight, buddy. Always so much fun to talk to you. And I'm sure you'll have more stories next time you come back. Keep living life, bud.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. That's Dave Patterson. Go read Bridge to Terabithia, rent the movie, rent The Great Gilly Hopkins, look for Love Ludlow and The Girl Who Wore Freedom. Very prolific guy and a heck of a guy, Dave Patterson. So, Con, do we have time to play that? Let's play that Tom Cruise. This is
Sure.
perfect segue
Yeah.
because we have a clip about how crazy Tom Cruise is. Dave just talked about the stunt work Cruise does, and I found this clip. So let's hear that now.
I remember going up there, just to look. And I sort of walked in, all these stunt guys with pulleys. Everyone was like sat on the floor, braced. It was completely silent. Everyone was really concentrating. And then I kind of crept towards the edge and I looked at, and Tom was just hanging there with this massive eating grin on his face, like having the most fun. Everybody was so serious and utterly petrified that something was going to go wrong. And there's Cruise just having the absolute time of his life.
All of a sudden we hear, woo! And Tom goes by outside, swinging way wide by, and then he makes a rough landing into one of the sides of the building, and you hear, bam! And we're like, oh my God, our star's dead! And then we hear Tom laughing.
That was the scene. That was Simon Pegg talking, and they're talking about the scene where Cruise gets pulled out of the skyscraper, and he's on a cord, and they take precautions, but just incredible. That's actually not the clip I thought we had. I remember he was on a talk show with Rebecca Ferguson and some of the other cast members. So, but that was a great clip to watch. So anyway, when we come back, my son Joe will be here to talk about what he felt about what's the movie? Ballerina, John Wick Ballerina. So we'll get into that and right after the news. Thanks for being here, folks. This is fun. It's a Wednesday. What's in your shopping cart? It's National Splurge Day. We'll read some text when we come back too. It's Pete Schwaba Night Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
How much do you commit yourself? It's my life. Don't you forget.
From Hobart to Bay Settlement, 97.9 WGBW. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Sources tell ABC News that President Trump has approved of Iran attack plans but has not made a final decision on the matter. The president met with his national security team in the Situation Room for a second day in a row. U.S. diplomatic staff evacuated in Israel. Retired General Robert Abrams, an ABC News contributor, says that does signal broader American involvement.
I'm glad they're getting them out. It's the right thing to do because we don't, this is all very unpredictable.
The Federal Reserve kept its key rate unchanged for the fourth straight meeting today and said the economy is expanding, but the Fed expecting President Trump's tariffs to push up prices by the end of this year. A Massachusetts jury has found Karen Reed not guilty of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend in 2022. The Supreme Court ruling 6-3 along ideological lines, upholding a Tennessee law banning certain gender-affirming care treatments for minors. This is ABC News.
The Brewers get rained out. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, Brewers and Cubs were supposed to play tonight at Wrigley Field, but steady rains, game has been called. They'll move tonight's game to August 18th and a doubleheader at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. Chicago winning last night 5-3. The Cubs doing a good job this season closing out games. They are 40-1 when going into the eighth inning with the lead. NFL, I had a chance to talk to the Packers' new president and CEO, Ed Policy, yesterday at Lambeau Field and asked him when he takes over from Mark Murphy this summer, what are the things he wants to focus on?
The Packers, the entire organization really exists for three things and three things only, and that's to win football games, to keep the Packers in Green Bay, and to strengthen our community. So I'll be really focused on those three things, and the next big thing will be, first and foremost, to focus on fielding a very competitive football team that's hopefully competing for championships.
That's the Packers' new president and CEO, Ed Policy, with Sports on Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Carrie Bradshaw, a.k.a. Sarah Jessica Parker, recently spoke to Huffington Post UK. During the interview, she talked about the backlash she received for playing Bradshaw on HBO's Sex and the City. Parker discussed the double standard between men and women and how women are treated differently when they're portrayed as cheaters on TV. Parker made a point to say that her character on And Just Like That is judged similarly decades later. New episodes of And Just Like That premiere Thursdays on Max. For those of you who are like me and live in a remote area, there is good news regarding a new comedy to check out. Friendship is now available to stream, according to the New York Post. The A24 cringe comedy that asks the question, should men have friends, stars Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd and had a modest but successful limited theatrical run. Friendship is available to stream on Amazon Prime. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Isolated evening storms, otherwise partly cloudy and a low in the low 60s. Sunshine warmer and more humid tomorrow, high in the low 80s. With more showers and storms around Thursday night and Friday. High again in the low 80s. 90s ahead this weekend. It's 69 degrees right now.
Mino and the Mayor.
Show the picture he showed me today in the striped little short shorts.
No, it was the
They
belly.
would be banned
I
now.
know. No, John.
Too much skin.
Hubba, hubba, hubba.
Man, dig that crazy chick.
Oh, wear short shorts. We wear short shorts.
Oh, that's funny. Wow. Mino and the Mayor, weekday mornings 6 till 9.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.
Jane Matt Nair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, ICE agents are taking people into custody.
Welcome back. Hey, this is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Great to have you with me on a rainy Wednesday. We're about to find out if it's rainy in other parts of the state, but in northeast Wisconsin here, it's kind of sucky. Con, don't you? Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the walk
to the garage.
Yeah.
We should bring an umbrella. We should be like those guys that like try to both crowd under an umbrella when we walk back to the, just to make it weird.
I don't know if I know you that well.
To share. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you hold a door open for me, I'm not going to thank you just to keep that hitting streak going. Our question of the night, folks, is what's in your shopping cart? And that is in honor of National Splurge Day. Conrad's dad checks in from Florida. He says, like Conrad, I have a golf club in my shopping cart. The ultimate splurge would be to hire a crew to build an all-brick patio around our all-season room. Our neighbor just spent $30,000 on his new brick patio, which looks awesome, but wow, very pricey. People are really kind of shoehorning things into the cart, I think. I love that Monica Hale said there would be airline tickets so she could travel. Now your dad is saying he wants to build a brick patio. So he would find a way to put those things in a shopping cart. I love that. Thank you, Steve. What else do we have here? Kate from Stevens Point, she's in the 715, says Kinder eggs. Oh, that's a good one. So little impulse buy eggs. I've seen those. And from the 818, Bridget says, school stuff for my classroom, magnetic blocks, fidget rings. Okay, so Bridget's a teacher. That sounds very selfless. And now I feel ashamed at the things I wanted to put in my cart, which was all cool electronics and sound bars for movie watching at home. And guacamole and chips. So now I feel like a real jerk. Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Kate. Still time to get in on the fun. If you want to send us a text, we'll read it on the radio. Tomorrow night on the show, making the popcorn pick of the week will be the guy behind. Are you excited for this, Conrad? The guy behind the guy. Behind the guy.
Yep.
J.B. Thompson will be here in studio. This guy is making independent films. He's a brilliant marketer. I think people have referred to him as a marketing ninja. So we'll talk to JB. He will make the popcorn pick of the week. And JB has introduced us to a lot of guests, which I think has been great since we've been on the air. And then following JB on tomorrow night's broadcast will be Chelsea Myris. Chelsea Myris from Old World, Wisconsin. So that'll be fun, too. We'll talk about a really cool museum. We'll get a popcorn pick from our pal JB, and more great stuff tomorrow night on Night Light. Right now, all right, so today, folks, earlier we got a call from DeLorean Walls. DeLorean helped found Brothers for Brothers, or Brothers Helping Brothers here in Green Bay, and we were going to have him on to talk about men's mental health because June is National Men's Mental Health Month, and DeLorean is very active in that world and with food insecurity as well. So we were going to have DeLorean on. He had a family emergency, so he had to bail kind of close to showtime, which that tells you it's a pretty serious thing. So we wish DeLorean well, whatever it is. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, and we will reschedule him in the near future and look forward to speaking with him. So filling in the bullpen, we're going for the lefty out of the bullpen on short notice. My best buddy in the whole world, and my son Joe Schwaba joins us now. Joe, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Did I embarrass you with that intro?
No, I'm happy you called me a lefty. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that would be. You know,
I wish I was.
Your grandpa Tom, my wife's father, for those of you listening, suggested, because I was a bigger baseball fan than I am now, he said, tie his right arm down, teach him to use his left hand, because lefties, do you know that, Conrad? Lefties they more likely are to get drafted. What am I trying to say here?
Well, it's because against right-handed batter, they succeed more.
Right, but they're rare. They're more rare, too.
Yes,
Finding a left-handed pitcher, like even a mediocre lefty is going to make a lot of money. And I'm not saying it's probably too late for you, Joe. I hope that doesn't discourage you, but
my arm's tied down right now. I'm still committing. Even though you get all given up on me, I'm still you gotta have dreams.
All right, so I thought this would be fun, Joe, because I know you just saw Ballerina from the universe or from the world of John Wick. Ballerina is technically the term. We spoke about it briefly on the show, I want to say with Matt Miller recently, who was kind of, I think, liked it, but didn't think it compared well to the other John Wicks. I'm still going to see it. What did you think, Joe?
I did not like Ballerina very much.
Okay.
I thought that it's just one of those movies that isn't very good. And I don't know exactly how to explain why. I think part of it was because I went into that bias of it being a part of everything has to be a spinoff now. That's the only way they'll make movies and put them in the theaters if they're a spinoff. Like John Wick already has 4 movies.
Yeah.
And they're good, but why don't you make a new action movie? So I think I just kind of had that bad taste in my mouth. And I like Ana de Armas a lot as an actress. I think she's a really good actress. I think she might have been slightly miscast in this movie. Well, I think she suffers from something that I like to call actor's run.
What's that?
Actor's run is where you have, someone that's been an actor for a very long time, and they never learn to run or throw a football or do some of these,
funny,
more athletic things. Like some people, like Keanu Reeves, I think famously in Point Break, like almost got a scholarship or something to a college because he was so good at football.
In real life, you mean?
In real life, when he was Johnny Utah in Point Break. And then, he does John Wick, and he's this athletic guy, and it looks very real. But then there's people, I just didn't really buy Ana de Armas. It always, when it would cut to her, she'd have this run that was just like, And another movie that suffers from this is that one movie called Carry On that we watched on Netflix with Taron Egerton. And that dude cannot run at all. I mean, his pants were pulled up to like his mid-torso, and he's running, and it's just like, what? He looks like a toddler or something.
That was so funny. I forgot about that because we were watching him run, and he's the hero of the movie, and he looks like a total spaz. And you just kind of don't buy that. So, and my buddy Mike Toomey always used to say that when they'd get actors to play athletes, and then all of a sudden they throw like they're using their left hand, and it's like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Fake that somehow? So what was it about Ana de Armas? Was it a run or something?
It was mainly the run. I guess it never looked like she was doing that much damage because I don't know. And maybe Ana de Armas is a very athletic person. I don't want to make any assumptions, but it didn't seem like when they would cut to her running or throwing a punch, it didn't feel like, some like, why can't I think of her? Mad Max Fury Road. Who's that? Why can't I think of her name?
I'm totally blanking too.
Oh my gosh.
She's one of my favorite actors.
I can't think of her name. Can we look that up? Is that possible?
I'll look it up right now.
I keep thinking Keira Knightley. It's not Keira Knightley. It's
Fury Road.
Can you give me a hint? Is this bad radio right now? I can't.
It is bad radio, but it's okay. I got the director right here. Here we go. Charlize Theron, of course.
Oh, Charlize Theron. Yeah,
She's
obviously.
one of my favorite actors.
I know.
Too.
Like when she punches, it feels like there's something to that. Or she runs, or Tom Cruise, obviously, just with Mission Impossible. He's running and he's
absolutely.
I don't know. They're athletes.
So and you're right about Keanu Reeves. Like he has been taking martial arts for 20 years too. Like the guy knows how to fight. And he was athletic and he can pull that off. All right. So I don't know what I want to say on Rotten Tomatoes, Ballerina got like a 60%. What would you give it if you had to just give it a percentile?
I mean, I want to start being a little harsher on these franchise movies that come out because I think that it's bad for the industry. So I would probably give it like a 20 or a 30.
Wow. Really?
I'm getting real sick of it. Every Marvel movie, I mean, they're being a little harder on Marvel movies now, but I just don't think everything should be a 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. It's like, it didn't always used to be like that. So I think we got to start being a little more critical on some of these expanded universe movies. Like what else is getting rebooted now? Like How to Train Your Dragon gets a live action.
That got like in the 70s, but it crushed at the box office. It's supposed to be really good. Audiences love it, obviously. But here's another one. Here's another franchise. 28 years later opens up this weekend. 84 reviews are in, a 95%. But that's Danny Boyle, too. I think people are excited that he's directing this again. And I have no doubt it's good. I really, that's one I want to believe.
That makes me look very hypocritical because I am very excited for that movie.
Well, I know what you're saying, though, and I've had, like, when Matt Miller or Rob Thomas or Chris Foreigner on the show, they've agreed with me that some reviewers kind of pull their punches a little bit, and it's because they don't want – and I think it's some of the lesser ones, not necessarily like the New York Times or Variety, but they don't want to lose their press passes or their press credentials, so they don't really hammer these franchise films. But let me ask you this. Joe Schwaba, my son, is here. We're talking about Ballerina. He is the lefty out of the bullpen, filling in for DeLorean Walls, who could not be here. Joe, you do comedy, sports, you write, you're an actor. How do you feel? Where do you weigh in on these actors that judge other actors for doing Marvel films? Now, you're at a point in your career, you've done some indie films and commercials and stuff like that, but wouldn't you jump at that? I mean, put the serious actor side away. And because you like Marvel movies, where would you come in on that?
Where would I come in?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course you do it, right?
I would. There's nothing I wouldn't do to be in a Marvel movie. I mean, I don't think we fully understand how desperate I am. I would do anything.
All right.
I don't care. Yeah, I do. I mean, maybe if you're a really good actor, that is
like Shakespeare.
A career, I mean, I don't know. I liked Marvel for a long time. I think a lot of those movies are good. Just it's getting a little ridiculous now, I think. But.
All right, so I appreciate you filling in, Joe, and I don't know how this cut into your social life tonight or not, but I appreciate you taking the time. Is it raining in Milwaukee?
It is. It is raining.
Okay. All right, so it's not just us. I want to ask you, before we let you go, what else are you watching? Is there anything you're excited about that you can recommend?
You see, I'm going to sound like even more of a hypocrite now because I just finished Andor, which is a Star Wars spinoff.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. It's awesome. That's an awesome show.
Con, what do you say to that? I'm not trying to start something here, but I got my actual son and my work son here. Some people have a work wife. I have a work son. What do you think about that, Con?
I mean, I watched one episode and I kind of got bored, so I just haven't resumed it.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Dude, get out of here. That's all I have to say about it. Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Listen, I'm going to give it a shot. Jimmy Kuska was on the show, Civic Media Sports Director. He binge watched both seasons and absolutely loved it. So that was all I needed. But the fact that you're saying you liked it, and Con only gave it one episode, so I'm probably gonna lean towards checking it out. Joe, can we keep you through a really quick break here? And we'll wrap this up when we come back. I want to hear what movie. After this break, I want to hear what you thought about Andor, and I want to ask you what you're most excited to see of the movies that are coming out this summer. We'll do that with our guest, Joe Schwaba. Coming up next on Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
As Wisconsin is brats on the grill for a tailgate, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hey, it's Amanda, and we all know that Northeast Wisconsin has some of the best events around, but trying to find them all can be tricky. So here at WGBW, we decided to do the work for you. Prevent boredom on any night by going to WGBW.FM and click events in the top right corner. You'll never have to spend forever scrolling to find out what's going on in your area. And if you got an event to share, hit us up by emailing info@WGBW.FM. We can work together to have real news and great conversation while giving you the 411 on what's happening in New Wisco.
Why are interscholastic sports called the last classroom of the day? Because they teach students important life lessons like teamwork, accountability, and perseverance. School sports are so much more than a game. They're about developing the whole person. That's why they're an essential part of every student's education.
Encourage your student to participate in the last classroom of the day. Interscholastic sports in Wisconsin. This message presented by the WIAA and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
Ken, as I like to call him, my least favorite Martin, chairman of the Democratic National Committee.
The other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Matt Flynn.
You go into combat and the general goes, I'm afraid. It reminds me of the coach of the Jets back in the 90s. The other team would come on the field and say, boy, they look big. No, I swear to God. And the Jets lost 12 games. I mean, You can't have this kind of stuff. Get this guy out of here. Put in Ben Wickler.
The Todd Albaugh Show. Weekdays 2 to 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Matt Nair on air.
From articles that I have seen, if you are a bagel purist, you should not toast your bagel. I think nothing's better than a toasted bagel and a schmear.
Folks, can we have a moment of honesty? Do you really like bagels, or do you like the schmear that is transported by them? Get rid of the stigma. If I walk into this room eating cream cheese out of a tub with a spoon.
Why is that wrong?
Matt Nair on air. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your favorite show or game, listen to a podcast of it anytime on the app or our website, civicmedia.us.
Yeah, oh, where can you go when your money gets low? In the Bay
stretch here at Nightlight tonight on this gorgeously rainy. It's not raining now, but the second I walk out and go to my car, it'll start raining again. So that's exciting. We got a text from Steady Eddie. Our question tonight, folks, was it's National Splurge Day. What's in your shopping cart? Steady Eddie says, Pete, for my splurge, all I want is one golf club. Augusta National or maybe Pebble Beach Golf Club in California. See what he did there? I like that. He says it has some beautiful ocean views. Fantastic. Thank you, Steady Eddie. Hope you're having a great night, buddy. So we have a couple more minutes here with my son and film connoisseur Joe Schwaba, who is giving up part of his Wednesday night here on short notice to fill in for DeLorean Walls, who we will rebook. But Joe, so where do you? I asked you what you thought about Ballerina and how you would rank it on the tomato meter. Like if you could give all the reviews, and you said 20 or 30%. What about Andor?
First of all, connoisseur might be a bit much for me.
Okay.
I would say
movie fan.
Enjoyer. I don't know. Yeah, I thought I would say Andor. Man, 80 or 90.
It's funny. Jimmy Casca said he thought it was the best the Star Wars franchise had to offer. One of the best.
I totally
do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely agree. I think it's probably the best piece of Star Wars content I've ever seen. Maybe not my favorite, but the best, like when it comes, like as a piece of, television, I would say.
Wow. Very nice. So,
very good.
All right. So what would you tell someone like me? You know my relationship with Star Wars. I grew up, I saw the early ones and I liked it, but I kind of fell off. I think I've seen everything the franchise has had to offer, and I'm a fan, but I'm stretched out over 40 years. It kind of all runs together at times. What would a casual Star Wars fan think of Andor? Is there something in Andor for a casual Star Wars fan?
I mean, yeah, I remember we used to watch it all the time when my left hand was tied to the table when we were trying to.
And I still didn't get a lefty out of the deal.
No, you got a Star Wars fan though.
Ah, all right, I'll take that.
I think that it's directed by the Bourne Identity director or not director. Did Tony Gilroy direct? I think he wrote the Bourne movies. Yeah, and he's actually somebody, and I watched an interview with him, and he's somebody that said that he didn't really like Star Wars that much when he got the job.
Really?
And he kind of wanted to make it his own and kind of cater to people like you who might not be as big a fans of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I would say you could watch this show and not know anything about Star Wars at all, and it would still be a good show, because I think it makes up for a lot of the things Star Wars lacks. Really great character relationships. The characters feel like each one of them has a life.
Okay.
And relationships and wants and needs. Sometimes Star Wars characters don't always feel like that.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the newer movies or the prequel series, they didn't always feel like fleshed out characters, but Andor, they really do. They feel like characters you can relate to.
That's interesting. And listening, we got a text on the text line. Everett in Sun Prairie is listening to our conversation and said, here's he addresses Conrad directly. Bud, watch the show. Andor and Rogue One are the best product in the Star Wars universe since the original run. They are gritty and human and emotional. If the rest of the franchise could capture that tone, they would never get old. Good on you, Joe. And then Everett continues and says, Skeleton Crew is definitely solid too. Sort of a Goonies meets Star Wars vibe. And then Everett says, not a Star Wars nerd, by the way, just a casual fan. Okay. That's enough for me to watch Andor. Between Jimmy and Joe and Everett, I agree. I don't know Skeleton Crew. Do you guys know that?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it. I will say to Everett, it feels better once you finally just accept it. You accept you're a Star Wars nerd. Just, I mean, the few, the proud, right? We got to stick together.
But I don't think. Let's not guilt Everett into thinking he has to be full blown Star Wars nerd.
I'm not guilting Everett.
Lines of Everett here too. So
I'm not guilting Everett. I'm saying I want to celebrate him.
Those are great texts. Yeah. Joe, what are you looking forward to this summer? Like, I don't know, next time you'll make it up to Marinette, but what do you want to go see? I'm really excited about 28 Years Later that opens this weekend. A 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. I'm really excited for that as well. I'll definitely be seeing that movie. I really want to see Friendship. I haven't seen that yet, and I really need to because I've heard really good things. I want to see that. I do want to see Superman. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I gotta at least see it to see what's what James Gunn's doing with it. I'm kind of curious. And then I want to see the new Naked Gun movie with Liam Neeson. That looks interesting.
I'm so torn about. I mean, I'll see it, but it just did not need to be remade. He's great. Look, Liam Neeson does the same movie all the time, but he's great at that. But aside from that, he's also a great and highly trained actor before he got into the action realm. I will say this about 28 Years Later. Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ray Fiennes, great cast. So I'm excited to see that too. Joe, thank you so much for your time, buddy. I miss you, and have a great night. We'll do this again, I hope. Thanks for filling in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. All right, that's Joe Schwaba. I'd like to also thank Dave Patterson. Great catching up with Dave. Thank you for all your texts and calls. I know, Con, you going to give Andor another try now? You're getting pressure from all over the place.
You know, I'm always looking for a show to binge, so I might as well go back.
All right, why not? I'll tell you what. You watch it, and I'll watch it, and we'll compare notes at some point. Maybe by next week when I'm back from Madison. All right. Thanks so much, folks. Always fun spending time with all the fellow couch potatoes. And on behalf of the lovable producer, Conrad. Good night, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, take me to your best